This is the Little Moments Count radio podcast, created in partnership with community radio stations throughout Minnesota. Each episode, you'll hear interviews with early childhood experts on how to support the important brain development that takes place in the first 1,000 days of life, just through little moments every day. Learn more at littlemomentscount.org/podcast.
It's FM 89.9 KMOJ, and right about this time every Tuesday, we lock it down every other Tuesday, and it's usually from 3:30 to 3:40, and talking about it and letting you know when it's Little Moments Count. Now, let me tell you, the episode of Little Moments Count and locking it down on an early afternoon, it's a partnership with Little Moments Count. Little Moments Count is a statewide collaborative focusing on helping parents and caregivers learn about the importance of brain development in the first 3 years of the little one's life. Now, nearly 80% of the brain growth happens in the first 1,000 days of a small moments of interaction when it comes to like talking, playing, reading, singing, and it helps to create the pathway that builds a child's brain during that early stage. And if you'd like more information, you can visit littlemomentscount.org. And on the line, we got Mr. Andre Dukes himself. He is the Vice President of Family and Community Impact at Northside Achievement Zone. Mr. Dukes himself oversees the early child strategies when it comes to focusing on ensuring that NAS scholars are ready for kindergarten through the access of quality learning and early learning in that way of the Center for Scholarship Screening Parents. We're talking about parent support. We're talking education and advocacy. But even beyond that, there's a whole lot more that adds on to who this young man really is. I'd like to say good afternoon, Mr. Dukes, and how you doing, sir?
Good afternoon, my brother. I am excited to be on the radio today in the Twin Cities on a sunny Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, we can say sunny and Sunday because on Sundays you be in service and
right,
you be conducting
Sundays.
Service. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So for the listening audience, there's a thing that you developed, and it's entitled Proud Papa. Now, we're talking about classes which creates a curriculum that's designed to celebrate fathers. So tell us a little bit about this particular program and why it is so important.
Well, this particular class that we offer to fathers in our program is really a part of our Family Academy. And what we recognize about child development is that fathers play a dual primary role in parenting. And so they are not secondary. They are primary in terms of the impact that they have on their children. So it's been my desire really to elevate the contributions and interests of fathers by removing the stigma of traditional ideas of fatherhood and empowering fathers to embrace the value of their own experiences. So it's really important that fathers know that they contribute to child development in specific ways and that we are able to identify those ways that they contribute and help them to celebrate those interactions. Because again, every interaction counts as it relates to brain development and our interactions with our children.
So now can you explain and share with us some of the experiences when it comes to fathers teaching their kids and when it comes to Little Moments Count? Because we're talking about talking, we're talking reading, we're talking singing, we're talking playing. There's a host of different things. Give us some type of examples or experiences that you know of.
Yeah, so Proud Papa is really designed, again, to celebrate fatherhood and leverage and enhance the natural skills of fathers to best support the developmental needs of their children. It is a 8-week educational component that it really takes a participatory approach to helping fathers discover ways they can influence a healthy and supportive environment where children can learn and thrive. We start every session by really naming our children and bringing them into the room with us. We recognize that names introduce us to the world. And so, fathers play a role in the naming of their children, and that has significance. And so we honor our children by bringing them into the room. But then the biggest part is we have something called a Proud Papa moment. And the Proud Papa moment is really a moment throughout the week in which a father was interacting with their child and they really were inspired by their child or proud of what their child was doing. And this is important because, when we look at our children, we're looking at ourselves, and we really want to be able to celebrate the things that we are catching our children doing well. And so some examples of that is, really, picking up from school, parent pickup, talking to them about their day, what they learned, those social interactions, how they overcame challenges and those kinds of things. And so fathers really talk about, those conversations that they're having with their children. We have one father that is a professional singer, and he always talks about how he is teaching his daughter how to sing. And she's not even 5 years old yet, but has a beautiful voice. She's a little shy. She doesn't always want to sing for us, but has a beautiful voice. And, these are things that really help to create this bond between fathers and their children. And then just simply playing, role playing, and playing dress up, all those kinds of things that I think we've talked about before, but fathers engage in these kinds of activities as well, and they make it fun. One father talks about even potty training and, how he is helping his daughter to learn how to potty train. And so, all of these kinds of interactions are meaningful interactions. There are moments when, fathers can really help establish language, you do that counting and helping to build numeracy skills, but also, just the singing and the playing is all about, creating that bond with fathers. And really, one of the ways in which fathers naturally engage with children is around that play, but that also helps them with problem solving. And really understanding how to overcome challenges and those kinds of things. So although it's having fun, it's really teaching them some critical skills that will help them throughout their lives.
So now we're talking reading, we're talking singing, we're talking playing, but then another word that you elevate in there is bonding. How important is it? Because we know relationships sometimes just don't work, with different people. So when it comes to that bonding side, how important is it for a mother and a father to show their child that it's okay to start understanding that we all can work this thing out and make it work together? Because a lot of times we look at it, there's the mother who's that one that carries, but then there's that father who also has to be there to help and provide. But then because of their differences, sometimes it just does not work. But what would you say to one of those parents that's going through it, there's on a separate end that tells them that they need to figure out how to make it work because it's really about their child?
Yes, Q-Bear, I'm so glad you asked that question, because the first thing that we have to understand is when we become a parent, something in us changes. And the science really backs that up, that, there are chemical changes that even happen with the father. And so when we bond with our children, it is really a great opportunity for healing in many ways, because we can be stressed out, we can be going through things in life, but that interaction, that quality time, that face-to-face time that we have with our children can have a reciprocal benefit for both our child and for us. And so one of the things that we ask fathers when we meet with them is, how did you feel the first time you held your child? What changed in you? What did you notice about yourself when you were interacting with your child for the first time? And you would be amazed at some of the responses that we get. Like, life began when I held my child for the first time, or I didn't know what love really was about until I held my child for the first time. My priorities changed. My entire life changed. And so, I felt different. All of these things are the responses that we hear from father. And I can witness as a father myself, when I held my child for the first time, I just knew like I was holding a part of me. And that made all the difference in my life. I didn't want to do the things that I used to do. And so something in my brain was changing and causing me to want to be there for my child, want to love my child. And one of the things, and this is the last thing I'll say, that I really did when I became a father, and I encourage other fathers to do this as well, is I put myself in the learner's seat. I said, I'm going to allow my child to teach me how to be a father. And what many of us do is we try to father in the same way we were parented. And that doesn't always work because we're not the same child as our child. We weren't the same child as our child. And so we really have to get to know our child, their personality, their demeanor, and we have to learn their needs and then respond accordingly. And so putting ourselves in the learning seat is a great way to build that bonding relationship with our children.
No doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, that's Mr. Andre Dukes. And I'm letting you know it's Little Moments Count right here at KMOJ Radio every other Tuesday from 3:30 to 3:40. And I want to say thank you very much for the time and opportunity and for developing Proud Papa.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to talk to you always, and have a wonderful day, Twin Cities. We'll be back again.
No doubt, no doubt. It's FM 89.9 KMOJ. And if you like a recording of this particular show, Little Moments Count, you can by visiting the website at littlemomentscount.org. It's FM 89.9 KMOJ.
Thanks for listening to the Little Moments Count radio podcast in partnership with community radio stations throughout Minnesota. You can find the Little Moments Count radio podcast wherever you get your podcasts and at littlemomentscount.org/podcast.